Hi, I'm Elaine Smyth. I'm Interim Assistant Dean of the LSU Libraries, and I also serve as the curator for the Rare Book Collection. And what I'm going to show you today is one of the more infamous books in our collection. It is the Nouveau Voyage aux Îles de l'Amérique. It's actually infamous because it is known as the Bloody Book. But the book itself is quite fascinating in its own right. It is the story of a Dominican friar who came to the islands, the Caribbean islands, in the 1790s, and he spent many years here, kept copious journals, and when he went back to France, he then turned those journals into this two-volume work, and it was a wonderful, wonderful source of information about the Caribbean and the people who lived there, the animals, the fauna and the flora, all kinds of things. And that's one of the reasons that it's important for us, because it's about the history of our region. But it is infamous because it has what appear to be blood spatters on it. And you can see some of them here. And there is a note that is written on here that says, Sang de Marat, and then it's signed Laurent Basse, and it's dated Juillet 14, the 14th of July. Laurent Basse was present at the murder of Jean-Paul Marat, who was an infamous revolutionary during the French Revolution, who was in fact killed by Charlotte Corday in a very famous assassination that happened the 13th of July, but Laurent Basse, who was there, apparently wrote this note in the book. It's a great story. We have no way of knowing whether it's true or not, but the book has a very interesting provenance. It came to us from the wife of J.T. Branchier, who's a famous family here in Louisiana, and she was the daughter of Judge Jones, Judge Joseph Jones, I'm sorry, not Judge, Dr. Joseph Jones, who was the Commissioner of Public Health in Louisiana in the late 19th century. And he had really done a lot of research on the various kinds of diseases that were prevalent here, including yellow fever. And so one of the books that he obtained in order to find out about how people had dealt with yellow fever and typhus and other diseases of that type over the years was this book by Père Labat. So he got this book because he was interested in what Père Labat had actually found out about the diseases. But in fact, when he received the book, he then saw this note and he saw the blood spatters and he thought, how strange, and so he did some research on it. And he also is said to have conducted tests to determine whether it was really human blood on the book. But I don't know whether that's true or not. He has said, the story goes, the story was passed on to us, that he was satisfied that it was human blood, but we don't really know. But in any case, it's a wonderful volume that has all kinds of beautiful maps of the islands. It has also, there's a page that shows you the blood spatters.
How did the blood spatters get on the book?
Well, Charlotte Corday stabbed Jean-Paul Marat. He was sitting in his bath. She came and she knocked on the door. His wife, Marat's wife, would not let her in because she knew that Charlotte Corday represented a segment of the French people that Marat was very much opposed to, and that she was very angry with him because at that time they were beheading the people that they were opposed to, and Marat actually taunted her that he would have all of the people that she cared about guillotined. And so she became extremely angry and pulled a knife out of her dress and stabbed him in the heart, and he expired very quickly thereafter because he basically bled to death very quickly. So there was probably blood all over everything. So that part seems reasonable enough. What I don't find very convincing is that you have this blood spattered page opposite a page which has no blood spatters on it at all. Now, back in the days of the hand press, as this book was printed on a hand press, on handmade paper, these plates were printed on different paper and were printed using a different method of printing than the letterpress, than the type would have been printed. So it's reasonable to think that before this book was bound, these might have been separate. So he might have been looking at the plates separate from the rest of the text. But in any case, it would have been rather bizarre for someone to take these blood-spattered plates then and then bind them up. So I don't know what was going on, but the book itself is quite valuable for us because it does have so much information about the people who were living there, the way they lived, the fauna and the flora. And so it's an important book, a book that we would be delighted to have in any case, but the story of Jean-Paul Marat's using it in his bath and holding it when Charlotte Corday stabbed him to death adds a little extra to the book.